Alright, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Sorry to Bother You NFL show. Wherever or however you're listening, we're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle, and we have had a jam-packed weekend full of excitement in the NFL Divisional Round playoffs. Listen, guys, today we're going to be covering all four of the games, from the Chiefs to the Bills, the Ravens and Texans, the Lions and Bucks, even down to the 49ers and Packers. And it's only going to be a 40-minute show today, guys, but we're going to be concise and we're going to be efficient in our breakdown of all the games. But another reason that this show is only going to be 40 minutes is because there's a lot of commonalities between the breakdown of each of these games. And there's going to be two key components, two key factors that are going to be consistent in all four of the games, quite frankly. Two in particular, and one of those consistencies I'm torn about whether it's something that should be even removed from the NFL. But there's going to be two consistencies. You guys are going to pick it up right away, and I want you guys to share your thoughts on it in the comment section and in the chat room as well. But there's a lot of there's two consistencies over the course of these four games, which is going to make it easier for us to break all four of these games down, which is why this show is going to be only 35 minutes. But with that being said, guys, we're going to get right into it. But before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay updated on all of our latest content that we post daily. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well, that way we can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/sorrytobotheryoushow/tip. None of this is possible as you guys are fans. We're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us, because it's a blessing to have this platform and share with you guys my thoughts and my insight on the world of football. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Like I said, it's going to be two commonalities that are consistent over the course of these four games. And we're going to start with perhaps the most exciting game of the divisional round matchups between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. This was the first game in Patrick Mahomes' career in which he had to play on the road. So that alone right there was a huge stumbling block, or a huge task that needed to be accomplished for Patrick Mahomes. The Bills jumped out to an early lead, and Kansas City had to play from behind in the fourth quarter to win this game, and actually had to rely on their defense. And if you watched our live show, our Instagram live show on Friday, you heard that both Dre and I both picked the Buffalo Bills to actually win this game, because I had concerns for Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City's offense and their ability to get into a rhythm and to move the ball downfield against this Buffalo Bills defense that has been playing phenomenal and has started to peak at the right time. And I had concerns about whether the defense of Kansas City would be able to get enough stops against this Buffalo offense, which has been quite explosive due to Josh Allen's ability to protect the ball and not put the ball in harm's way. And this game was primed for Buffalo to win this game, quite frankly. And this game was we don't know what would have happened if Kansas City would have had the ball in that last possession. But listen, Buffalo is set up to kick a 44-yard field goal, tie up the game with a minute left. And Buffalo's kicker misses the field goal. And that allowed Kansas City to run out the clock and win the game. And it was unfortunate because this was such an exciting game, as it always is when Buffalo and Kansas City matches up in the playoffs. This could be the modern version of Brady versus Peyton Manning. I'm not ready to say that yet in terms of the Mahomes and Josh Allen matchup, but there's definitely a rivalry that's been established between these two guys, between these two teams, I might say. And it's unfortunate that a great game comes down to a kicker that misses the field goal. And you know, I feel like it's unfortunate, but also that's part of the game. This is part of the game. Because there were countless opportunities that Buffalo had to convert on third down, to score in the red zone, in which if they do those things, they're not in a position to where they have to rely on their kicker. And, that concept is akin to what I say when we cover basketball games, where if you have to rely on the ref to make one call in the waning moments of a game, then that's your fault as a team, as a player. You put yourself in that position to where you have to rely on one call. The games aren't decided by one call, by one possession. At the end of the game, normally games are decided early on. Once you start to understand how sports truly operate and how the game truly progresses over time and over the course of a game, you understand that. And same thing with this situation right here. It comes down to the kick, but the game was decided much earlier on. The Buffalo's defense gave up numerous big plays, chunk plays to Kelsey and to Valdez-Scantling, things that they hadn't done in previous weeks. They did not do a good job of generating pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Between both teams, there's only one punt throughout the entire night. So, if you're Buffalo's defense, you look at the inability to get stops and to score in the red zone. And I had something I talked about during the preview show, our NFL preview show early on in the season, was how I feel like Buffalo's championship window has closed. And I didn't even have Buffalo making the playoffs this season. And they got hot at the right time, and they managed to win the division. But this loss all but solidifies what I said early on in the year, before the season even started, and that their championship window is closed. Then now you have to start thinking about what direction you want to go in if you're Buffalo. Do you want to trade away pieces and rebuild, or what other options do you have? And those are things you have to consider if you're Buffalo, because your championship window has closed. This is your prime opportunity. This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted all along. You wanted a home game against the best quarterback in the league, in Patrick Mahomes. You wanted to play them in your house, in your weather, under your conditions, and you got that. And you were in position to win. You were in position to put the game away countless times, but you did it. And if you're Kansas City, you have all the confidence in the world now, because now you've shown the world what they haven't had to do, but they are able to do, and that's win on the road. They've been so dominant that they haven't had to play a playoff game on the road since Patrick Mahomes has been a starting quarterback. But when they're put in that situation in which they have to, they're able to do it. And so now they go into Baltimore with all the confidence in the world, like I said. And this was a great win. Like I said before the playoffs started, that if Kansas City manages to make it to the Super Bowl, let alone win the Super Bowl, this run, this group of guys that Mahomes is playing with will be similar to when LeBron James took that Cleveland Cavaliers team to the 2018 finals. I know LeBron and the Cavs that year didn't win the finals, but if Mahomes can get Kansas City to the Super Bowl, that's what this will remind me of, when LeBron James took that 2018 Cavaliers team to the NBA Finals. All in all, though, it was an exciting game. In my opinion, this is the most exciting game of the night, or of the division round matchup. My apologies. And it just shows which direction both teams are going in. One's going home to think about rebuilding. Well, they will have to rebuild because the window's closed. And the other team continues to fight on and continues to prove that they are a dynasty. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Share your thoughts in the chat room. I'd love to hear all about it, guys. In our next segment, though, we are going to be discussing the other AFC division round matchup between the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we discussed the matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, and how the game technically did come down to one missed field goal from Buffalo, but the game was actually decided much earlier on, and the outcome of that game represents the direction in which both teams are going in moving forward. And in this segment, guys, I want to discuss the other divisional round matchup in the AFC between the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. Listen, there's really not much to talk about in this matchup. Listen, once again, if you watched our live show on Friday on Instagram, I predicted Baltimore to win this game convincingly. I said that this game wouldn't be close. I thought it would start to be a blowout by the end of the second quarter. I was off by a quarter, and I talked about how the score might be low scoring, or it might be a low scoring game, and the score might not even represent how drastic of a gap in terms of talent level there was between Baltimore and Houston. And that's because the way Baltimore plays, they like to control the clock, the time of possession, and it limits possessions for not only Houston but also themselves. And so you might get a game where it's 27-20, but the game was not as close as the score would seem. But Baltimore actually put some points on the board. Listen, Lamar Jackson had 152 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air. He also had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and Nelson Aguilar caught his first playoff touchdown, and the defense. I mean, what is there to say about this Baltimore defense, man? The only touchdown that Houston scored was on that punt return in the second quarter. Aside from that, they held Houston to 213 total yards and only 10 first downs, and limited them to a time possession of 22 minutes. And they did all this without Marlon Humphreys. Their starting cornerback didn't even play for Baltimore. So, listen, Baltimore is peaking at the right time. Baltimore is dominant. They're far and ahead above all the other teams, not just in the AFC, but also in the NFC. Listen, they're the best team in the NFL. They were my pick to make it to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to continue to stick with that pick. It's interesting to see because now what we get is a matchup of two of the best quarterbacks in the AFC with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. And when we do our preview for that matchup later on in the week, it's primed to be a great matchup, primed to be a great game. But I'm impressed with what Houston has moving forward, especially with D'Amico Ryans leading the charge as the head coach. C.J. Stroud has impressed me. He is all likelihood going to be the offensive rookie of the year. And this Houston team is going to be getting better. They're going to continue to get better. And, but this game just shows that there are levels to success. There's levels to dominance in the NFL. And Baltimore is, like I said, they're peaking at the right time. They have all the right pieces on the offensive, defensive end. And I don't know if there's any team in the NFL that can contend with Baltimore right now, especially the way their defense is playing. And this game just showed that. It just proved that. And so, like I said, there's just not much to say about this game. Baltimore dominated this game as they should have. And if this game didn't show you, or if the season didn't show you, I hope this game showed you that Lamar Jackson is the NFL MVP. I know playoff performances don't count towards obviously the MVP voting, but Lamar Jackson should be and will be your NFL MVP this season, no doubt about it, no question about it. And hopefully this shows guys, specifically the media analysts on the major networks. You guys know who I'm talking about. They always have something to say about Lamar Jackson. Listen, if you're there, something has to be said for winning. I know it might not look the greatest. It might not look how you want it to look. It might not look how you perceive a ideal quarterback to look and how to throw. But listen, something has to be accounted for when it comes to winning. It's so hard to win in the NFL, and when you have the record Lamar Jackson had since he's been a starting quarterback, that has to account for something. And now he's in the conference championship for the first time in his career. And now there's just more things being added to that resume. And eventually you're going to have to give Lamar Jackson the credit that he deserves, and that he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So I'm gonna leave that right there, guys. But in our next segment, we are gonna move over to the NFC divisional round matchups. We're gonna start with the Bucs and the Lions, guys. So be sure to stick around for that. You're not gonna miss it. We'll be right back. Alright, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first 2 segments of our show, we recapped the AFC divisional round matchups between the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, as well as the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. That AFC Conference Championship game is going to be something to watch, guys. That's going to be an exciting matchup between the Chiefs and the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. 2 great defenses and 2 elite quarterbacks. I'm excited to watch that. But guys, in this segment, we're going to be discussing, like I said, the NFC divisional round matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this game came down to it came down to quarterback play. And something that Detroit all year has been known for is their offensive prowess. One of the best offenses in the league, and it proved that last night. They had a time possession of 32 minutes. Jared Goff had 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs had 74 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. And they were able to jump out to an early lead against Tampa Bay. And something that people had question marks about Detroit with was their defense. Would their defense be able to contend and to be able to come up big when it matters most? And this game proved that Detroit was able to do that. And listen, I know Detroit's defense gave up 408 total yards to Tampa Bay. They allowed Baker Mayfield to throw for 349 yards and 3 touchdowns. But a lot of those yards are because Tampa Bay is playing from behind. And so obviously when you play from behind, you can't afford to put the ball on the ground and run. You have to put the ball in the air and throw it. And so that those stats are a little skewed. But the point I want to make is so on the final drive of the game for Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield threw a costly interception. Detroit was able to force that turnover and close out the game. So in a moment where the defense needs to get a stop, a defense all year that has given up a lot of points and a lot of yardage, managed to get a key stop. And listen, that's how Detroit has been able to win a lot of these games in the regular season, with their defense having a bend don't break sort of mentality, a team that gives up a lot of yardage but doesn't necessarily give up a lot of points. That's where Detroit's defense falls under, and they were able to, like I said, get a key stop and get a key turnover, force a key turnover against Tampa Bay. And this game shows you how important quarterback play is, because I don't think anyone would question that Jared Goff is better than Baker Mayfield. But a slight margin like that can make all the difference between a team playing an NFC championship game and not. And Baker Mayfield isn't the only quarterback in the NFC that had a costly turnover on the last possession of the game, but it just shows you how important quarterback play is. And listen, Detroit with Jared Goff has had phenomenal quarterback play, and coupled that with a defense that has stepped up huge, it's putting them in the right direction, and it's gotten them to the NFC Championship game. And this just shows you how important quarterback play is, not just in the regular season, but also in the playoffs. Listen, Baker Mayfield played phenomenal in the wild card game against Philadelphia, and for all intents and purposes, he had a great game against Detroit as well. But when it mattered most, what happened? And that's all that matters. That's all we can judge it off of. That's all we can base it off of. And don't get it wrong, Baker Mayfield just played his way into a max contract, or at least a contract extension with Tampa Bay. I firmly believe that. I think he's going to be in Tampa Bay. I think he finally found his home. I think he finally found his resting place. So I think he will be in Tampa Bay for the foreseeable future. I like what they have going on down there. But it just shows how quarterback play is huge, and it always will be the most important factor for a team's success in winning a Super Bowl, at least getting to a Super Bowl. So I was impressed with Detroit's defense and their ability to get a stop, and that interception thrown by Mayfield shows me and confirmed to me that the margin for error, the margin of difference in terms of talent level, can be that small, yet make the biggest impact. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What did you guys see from this game? What did you guys see from Tampa Bay's offense, their defense? And we have to remember that Tampa Bay got 2 key injuries to their defense as well during that game. But like I said, I'm impressed with Tampa Bay with what I saw. And Detroit now is moving on to the NFC Championship game for the first time in 20 plus years. Let me know what you guys think about that. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Share your thoughts in the chat room. Looking forward to hearing all about it, guys. And guys, in our final segment, we're going to be discussing the other NFC divisional round matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the final segment of our show. Listen, guys, close out the show today. We're going to be recapping the other NFC divisional round matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. And like I said, guys, there's been two consistent themes over the course of this show. One of them being the games being brought down to a kicker and quarterback play. And this game had both. This matchup between the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers not only had the game come down to a missed field goal, but also to costly quarterback play. And listen, the Packers played excellent in this game. They're one missed field goal away from winning this game. They forced San Francisco to come back and win from behind for the first time in the Kyle Shanahan era. Jordan Love of Green Bay threw 194 yards for 2 touchdowns, also threw 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones had 18 carries for 108 yards. Listen, this was a great game. Green Bay played phenomenal, but this showed how great San Francisco can be in the championship pedigree that they have. And I'm impressed by Brock Purdy. Listen, Brock Purdy didn't have to do much, and he hasn't had to do much since he's been in San Francisco because there's just so much talent with Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, who actually didn't play the last 3 quarters of the game because he got hurt. But this is what happens when quarterbacks under the Kyle Shanahan system don't turn the ball over. And that's what listen, that's been the recipe for success for Brock Purdy. And I know it sounds simple, but you got so much talent on that team. All you had to do is not put the ball in harm's way. And when Brock Purdy has been playing at his best, when he's been an MVP candidate, quote unquote, is when he hasn't put the ball in harm's way and is when he hasn't turned the ball over. And like I said, so Green Bay had a chance to go up 6 with about 3 minutes left, or about 5 minutes left in the game, and they missed the field goal. Missed the about 35-yard field goal. San Francisco now goes down and scores, which forces Green Bay to have to need a touchdown to win the game. Now there's about 1:30 left. Green Bay begins to drive down the field. Jordan Love scrambles out of the pocket to the right side, throws across his body, and throws an interception. So it's two factors in which we talked about at the beginning of the show. We're going to be consistent. Games coming down to the kicker and poor quarterback play. Listen, when it comes down to the kicker, as a team, you put yourself in that situation to where the game comes down to a kick. Once again, the game was decided much earlier on. So I have very little empathy for that. But quarterback play, once again, the margin for error is so small, and the margin for success can make the biggest impact on a team's success. Listen, in terms of upside, I would say that Jordan Love has more upside than Brock Purdy based on what I've seen so far. However, as of right now, Brock Purdy's better than Jordan Love, even if the margin's close. Similar to what we said about Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. The margin may be small, but it's big enough to have the largest impact. And so you could very well make the argument that on that last throw, the interception thrown by Jordan Love, Brock Purdy's not making that throw. And because he doesn't make that throw, you don't turn the ball over and you keep the ball, and now you have more chances to push the ball downfield. And so Jordan Love makes that throw. San Francisco intercepts the ball. The game is over. The margin of success between those two quarterbacks may be small, but once again makes the largest impact. That is how small your margin is. That small of a margin can have the largest impact on your team. That's the difference between, like I said, playing an NFC Championship game and going home. And that's what this game showed us. That's what the Detroit and Tampa Bay game showed us. That's what the Buffalo and Kansas City game showed us. Quarterback play will always be the number one factor when it comes to team success, particularly in the playoffs. And that's what the divisional round matchups have shown me. But all in all, it was a phenomenal weekend full of exciting football. I'm greatly looking forward to the conference championship games. Let me know what you guys think. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Share your thoughts in the chat room. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. Guys, that is it for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again with our NFL show on Thursday to do previews for the conference championship games. Until then, guys, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.